Hello and welcome back to YouTube Stock Portfolio. This is episode 6 and it finally happened. We finally had a terrible week, down 4.28%. If you remember, this is the first week we've been down. We also bought, if you're looking right here, Work or Slack, and since we bought it, it has been nothing but downhill, dumping 12%. I guess a terrible buy. Anyway, our whole portfolio overall is doing pretty well. Most of our stocks are up. Looks like Apple is killing it. Google and Microsoft are doing pretty well, and Tesla is kind of lagging behind, especially for something we've owned for this long. If you're new to YouTube stock portfolio and you don't know how it works, what happens is all you gotta do is leave a comment down below. If it is the most upvoted comment, that is the stock I'll buy. So far, we haven't gotten any comments, which is all right. I've just been buying tech because I love tech stocks, and a lot of other companies I think make really bad business decisions, as you can tell from a few weeks ago when I talked about AT&T and Verizon and Comcast all making terrible decisions. I'm just really focused on some of the cool companies out there that I think are making good buys. But remember, if you want me to buy a stock, all you got to do is put it below and I will buy it. No questions asked. This is YouTube's portfolio, not mine. I'm just the one putting money into it. Anyway, we got a really cool video coming up for you today. Today I wanted to talk about something really exciting to me. This is tech, I guess. I guess it's tech on the horizon that I think can really change everything. So let's jump right into it. If you follow the same news sources as I do, you've probably heard about solid state batteries and the amazing, wonderful things they can do for electric vehicles with increasing their range, decreasing risk of fire, increasing charge rate. But those are not the things I'm interested in. I want to talk about things that could be possible with them that are not possible currently. First, I'm going to go through really quickly what a solid state battery is. Now, I'm not going to bore you with a billion details about the anode, the blah blah, I'm just going to go through it really simple. So basically all you need to know is right now there's a liquid between each end of the battery. Those are called the anode and the cathode. A solid state battery would have a solid structure there. Due to this liquid structure, current batteries are much more flammable and their charging times are limited. And also on top of all of that, we've sort of hit a bottleneck in the amount of power they can hold. So what can you do with the solid state battery? Well, you can charge it much quicker because there's not that risk of overheating and fire that there is in liquid state battery. So you could completely charge it in a matter of minutes rather than a matter of hours. On top of this, we would be able to increase the amount of power we could fit into a battery, so batteries would last significantly longer. But if you follow the same news as I do, then you already knew all of this. I want to talk about the stuff that nobody looks at and nobody's talking about. So I think personally one of the biggest improvements that would come from solid state batteries would be in the form of more useful wearable technology. Think about something like Google Glasses, which they had that bulky side frame of them, which made them really odd looking, or even some of the newer smart glasses, they all have that bulky side frame and they just don't look right. Well, so if you could get solid state batteries that could hold more power and charge really fast, you could all of a sudden, it would be feasible and pretty stylish and wouldn't look all that out of place to have glasses that were smart because they would have a normal sized frame. On top of this, because they drew more power, you could have CPU and chips that were more complex, allowing for a large amount of functionality, whereas currently there's really not a whole lot you can do with them. Another thing you hear all the time is that, oh, with solid state batteries, phones could last for 3 days at a time or something like that. I think that's completely wrong and completely short-sighted because think about it. If your battery could be smaller, what would they do? Well, they wouldn't just fill it back up and then the phones are the exact same. No, they'd have more chips, they'd have more computation, they'd make the phone smaller, and they would make the components use more electricity. So overall, you would get a more powerful phone rather than a phone that lasts longer. In fact, if your phone could charge in only 5 minutes, I don't see a reason why your phone battery would have to last any longer. You could make it so your phone battery only lasts something like 3 hours on one charge, but it's not a big deal because everywhere you go, there's an outlet and all you have to do is plug in, wait 5 minutes, unplug, you're ready to go again. I think, in fact, we could see phones with less battery if solid-state batteries come along, just because of the charging time alone. And lastly, as everybody always talks about with solid-state batteries, EVs are going to become much more feasible than gas cars. Well, that's obvious, but I think if you're looking for a company that will do really, really well, you shouldn't necessarily look to the EV space because this is already assumed that eventually they're going to do much better than gas cars. The companies that are going to be really interesting are the ones that are making those solid state batteries. Now, with Tesla, they make their batteries themselves, so not that interesting. But if they start selling their batteries to companies like Apple, Samsung, Google, Microsoft, companies that have devices, well, then all of a sudden I think they're a really, really interesting company. So, what I would look for personally, if I'm looking to invest in a stock that worries about solid state batteries and works on solid state batteries, is one that's focused more on building the batteries at scale, reducing their cost, increasing their power consumption and charging rate, and just making an overall best battery rather than focused on devices and computation. I think the next winner we're going to see is going to be a company that, instead of making the devices that the battery goes in, makes the battery. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Remember to leave a comment down below if you want me to buy a stock. If it's the most upvoted comment, I will buy it. That's no questions asked. That's how YouTube stock portfolio works. Remember, this is YouTube stock portfolio. Check back in next week to see what we buy and how our stocks have performed.